You may not know this about me, but I'm a massive fan of the long-running TV show Survivor. While I'm not the kind of super fan who has all the names and competitions memorized, I have seen all of the American seasons and even went out of my way to track down the international versions from as far away as Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. As somebody who knows his way around a tribal council, I was intrigued by the release of Survivor Castaway Island, a new game that will allow me to live out my Survivor dreams without having to nearly starve to death in the middle of nowhere. And the result is, without a doubt, one of the most frustrating video game experiences that I've ever had. Not because the game is too challenging or anything, but rather because, well, we have a lot to talk about. This is my review of Survivor Castaway Island. With 45 seasons spread across more than 20 years, I'm just gonna assume that you already know the basics of Survivor. It's a show where the goal is to outplay, outwit, and outlast the competition by winning competitions, voting off your tribe mates, and, if you're lucky enough to make it to the end, convince a jury of your peers to give you $1 million. Sure, the producers have added to the formula over the years, all with hidden advantages, immunity idols, redemption island, and so on and so forth. But the goal always remains the same, no matter if there is an island of idols, blood in the water, or heroes, healers, and hustlers. In that regard, the Survivor game looks a whole lot like the TV show. You choose a character, join a tribe, and then work together to win immunity from tribal council. After a few people get voted out, the two tribes merge and then you play a more selfish game where individual immunity is up for grabs and everybody has their own path to the $1 million. All that is more or less the same as the show. There are some obvious differences up front, like the number of contestants and tribe names, but at least the trajectory of the season pretty much lines up with what you're familiar with. The days are basically split up into two activities, a minigame challenge and camp maintenance. During the odd-numbered days, we take part in some sort of reward challenge, something that'll be immediately familiar to anybody that watches the show. It's here where the TV contestants can win fishing tools, more food, better materials for camp, and a whole bunch of other useful items that'll make life on an island a lot more comfortable. Unfortunately, in this game, the only reward that we're given is a good massage. Don't expect to earn better fishing gear in this game because the only thing that's up for grabs is a good back rub. Look, while I flippantly write off the benefits of a massage, this actually plays an important part when we're back at camp. You see, each day we're given 15 minutes to hunt around for supplies, look for hidden immunity idols, and most importantly, chit-chat with the other survivors. Assuming you've got the fire started, you'll need to hunt around the jungle for wood, go down to the nearby stream to collect water, and either shake the trees for coconuts or try your luck at fishing off the coast. These are the three items that'll be used every single day, and despite other people claiming to be pulling their own weight, if we're being honest, most of the collecting is gonna rest on your shoulders. The trick is that every time you pick up sticks, shake a coconut tree, or collect water, you're going to lose a small amount of stamina. You'll also lose stamina after a competition or when you don't have enough to eat. Oh sure, you may earn some back from a good night's sleep, but it's not nearly enough. You'll need to balance out the amount of supplies you can collect with the amount of stamina that you're willing to extend. You certainly don't want to go into the next challenge an exhausted mess, so make sure and take plenty of naps and try your hardest to win those massage rewards. Now, when you're not collecting supplies, you'll spend most of your time chatting with the other survivors. This is where you'll strengthen bonds and even form alliances, something that'll be vital if you want the votes to continue going your way. Sadly, the social elements of Survivor Castaway Island are not as fleshed out as you would hope. We're really only given a few options when it comes to discussing strategy, which results in you wooing everybody to your side in the exact same way. The information that the computer-controlled contestants give is vague and generic, not even close to the complexity you find in the television show. And this is where the Survivor video game falls apart. At no point does it feel like you're ever playing against anybody that would ever be cast on this show. When a computer-controlled player tells you that they're a conspiracy nut or a social media influencer, you better believe that that's the only thing they're going to talk about. Nobody in this game acts like they would on the show, which in turn makes it not feel a whole lot like Survivor. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. On the TV show, when there's an especially contentious voted tribal council, there's usually hurt feelings and people who want to talk about it. These are often deliciously awkward moments where somebody's always demanding answers. Unfortunately, there's nothing like that here. When somebody's voted out of the game, it's back to status quo, almost as if nothing happened the night before. You'll go and talk to somebody who just lost their top ally, and the only thing they're going to want to talk about is collaborating on a cross-branding blitz when they get out of the game. There's just no way to outwit somebody who has no wits to begin with. And that brings me to the most frustrating part of this game, Tribal Council. This is, for many Survivor fans, the most enjoyable part of any episode. It's a moment when Jeff Probst gets to ask questions that can lead to last-second strategizing. Some of the single best moments have come from survivors playing mind games or flipping votes simply by threatening to use an idol. This is what Survivor is all about. In the game, there is no Jeff Probst. There's no last-second strategizing. There are no mind games. There are no questions to the survivors. There's no way to talk your way out of being voted out or threatening to play an idol. Plain and simple, there is no tribal council. All you do is vote. That's it. In the show, you probably would have cared about that character. There might have been a hero or a villain or somebody who just gave good confessions. Maybe you're happy to see him leave because your favorite player is now one step closer to winning. None of that is present in this game. You won't remember who you just voted out because they simply were not a real person. They were a computer-controlled invention that doesn't even come close to passing as anything other than a bot. The whole time it felt like it was basically trying to convince ChatGPT to let me win Survivor. Now, you may have noticed that I haven't really talked a lot about the minigame challenges. That's because they're fine, I guess. Look, I'm going to level with you. A couple of them are reminiscent to what you see in the show, and that's kind of fun. There's the one where you have to call out the steps to your blindfolded teammate. One that has you balancing on a tiny step that looks really uncomfortable. And even one where you're trying to break colored masks. That's a classic. However, the developers take a lot of liberties when it comes to the Survivor challenges. The result is a collection that sort of resembles what you see in the show, but not really. The problem with these mini-games is that they're too simple. These days, we're used to multi-part challenges where the tribe has to push or carry something heavy and then force some unlucky sap to solve a simple puzzle. That might as well be 3 challenges in this game, which once again breaks the illusion of simulating the TV show. Because I'm a fan of the show, I just can't help but notice the weird inconsistencies. It's a lot of the small things, like how the game never refers to the contestants as survivors, instead always opting for adventures for some reason, or how there's never a way to customize or upgrade your camp, or how the water well has been replaced by a small creek, or how they never at any point say tree mail, or how the jury doesn't show up until the finale, which, let me tell you, doesn't look anything like a real finale. I feel like I could go on forever. It's possible that all this annoys me more because I'm a fan of the show. For as much as I tried, it's really hard to put myself in the shoes of somebody who isn't familiar with the show. Would a more casual player be annoyed by the specific details as I am? No, probably not. I'm sure there will be people who look at this as a fun minigame collection that just so happens to have a really unique social game connected to it. I'm sure that person will find this game a lot less frustrating than I did. But I ask you, who is more likely to buy this game? The fan of the show or somebody who has somehow avoided 45 seasons? Clearly, this game is aimed at people just like me, which is why it's so disappointing. How cool would it have been to have a Survivor game that actually simulates all the best elements of the show? After playing this game, I'm not even sure the developers have watched a season of Survivor. If you told me that they read the Wikipedia page and then clicked on a few YouTube videos, I might actually believe you. That would at least help to explain a lot of the weird inconsistencies. The truth is, Survivor is one of those television shows that may be impossible to accurately translate into a video game. So much of what makes it compelling comes down to things like personal biases and paranoia. Survivors are not always predictable, which is a lot of what makes the show so much fun to watch. Between the lack of food, the bad sleeping conditions, and exhaustion, people are not always rational, and that's something that's hard to program into a video game. This may be one of those times where the human component may be needed to make Survivor truly work. And without it, everything else feels as artificial as, well, Survivor Castaway Island. If you squint real hard and are real far away from the screen, Survivor Castaway Island kinda resembles the long-running TV show. Unfortunately, anyone who's watched more than an episode or two will immediately be able to see right through this imposter. While a few of the minigames are fun, the rest of the game is so disconnected from the show that it probably shouldn't even carry the name. There's never a point where it feels like you're playing a social game, and most fans will be thoroughly annoyed by what the developers chose to get rid of. For anyone who has stuck with the show for the last 20 years, this game is a big disappointment. Survivor Castaway Island, come bring me your torch. The tribe has spoken. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite game based on a television show? Okay, look, I get it. Most of them are pretty bad, like Home Improvement and Family Dog. But you know what? There are some good ones, too. That Buffy the Vampire Slayer game was great. Let me see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back later this week with more reviews and a brand new episode of Nintendo Switch Online Review Crew. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,